Good morning, everyone. Today's message I want to share John chapter 8, verse 1 to 11. John chapter 8, verse 1 through 11. John chapter 8, verse 1 through 11. Then each went to his own home. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. At dawn, he appeared again in the temple courts, where all the people gathered around him, and he sat down to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such woman. Now what do you say?" They were using this question as a trap in order to have a basis for accusing him. But Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "If any one of you is without sin, let him be the first to throw a stone at her." Again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who heard began to go away, one at a time. The older ones first, until only Jesus was left. With the woman still standing there, Jesus straightened up and asked her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Go now and live your life of sin." Let's look one more chapter, John chapter 3, verse 16 through 17. John chapter 3, verse 16 through 17.
Here's a summary from Wikipedia.
John chapter 3, verse 16 to 17. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. The title of today's message is John chapter 8, verse 11. Neither do I condemn you. Neither do I condemn you. The event written on the book of John, chapter 8, was only written in the book of John. John regarded this event as very special, so he recorded it in his book. And then I think really this event really shows us the essence of the gospel and the attitude of Jesus, how he treats us. And then this event took place on the temple court. Right? On the temple court, if you look at verse 1. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. At dawn, he appeared again in the temple court. Mount of Olives and temple court. These are the two places where Jesus spent his most of time. So he taught people in the temple court, and he withdrew to the Mount of Olives. He rested and prayed, and also he taught the disciples over there too. So these two places, Mount of Olives, we call it Olive Garden. I think the restaurant, right, called Olive Garden. That's not familiar. But here is the Mount of Olives. Mount of Olives, the Olive Garden, and then temple court. So in the temple court, it dawned early morning. Jesus went to the temple court to teach them. He sat down to teach them. Right? And at this moment, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law brought a woman who caught in the adultery. Right? Okay. They're the teachers of the law and Pharisees. Look at that once again, one more time. Verse 3, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group. Please think about this scene. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery." In the law, Moses commanded us to stone her to death. Now, what do you say? What do you say? So let's look at this. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees. In the eyes of the Jewish law, adultery was a serious crime. Okay? There were three great sins for the Jewish. These were the idolatry, worship idols. The other one is murder, killing somebody, and then adultery. These three. And the adultery was, in fact, one of the greatest sin, and it was punishable by death. Leviticus chapter 20, if you go back to Old Testament, Leviticus chapter 20. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress must be put to death. Let's look at another verse, Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 22. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 22. If a man is found sleeping with another man's wife, both the man who slept with her and the woman must die. You must purge the evil from Israel. They must be put to death. From the purely legal point of view of the teachers of the law and Pharisees, they were perfectly correct. They are correct. They really follow the commandment according to the Moses law. This woman was liable to death by stoning. That's why they brought her in front of Jesus and asked, now what do you say? Why did they ask? What do they ask? What do you say, Jesus? According to the Moses law, we need to put her into death and stoning by stoning. And then they ask, there's a intention. Why did they ask? Why did they brought this woman to Jesus? Let's go back to John chapter 8. Let's go back to John chapter 8. Verse 6. John chapter 8, verse 6. This was a trap. This was a trap. They want to put Jesus into dilemma. John chapter 8, verse 6. They say, they were using this question as a trap in order to have a basis for accusing him. Why it was a trap? Because so it was, because they believed Jesus was teaching something else, right? Not the Moses law. If Jesus said that the woman ought to be stoned to death, then two things followed. First, he would be lose the name he had gained for love and mercy, and never again will be called the friend of sinners. Right? And second, he would come into conflict with the Roman law, for Jews had no power to carry out the death sentence to anybody. And then the other hand, if he had said that the woman should be pardoned, it could immediately be told beside that he was teaching man to break the law of the Moses, and even encouraging people to commit adultery. So neither he can do. He said to put her into death, nor she must be pardoned. So they put him in a dilemma, and it's a trap. What can they do? What can Jesus said to them? There was the trap that the teachers of the law and Pharisees sought to entrap Jesus. So they asked, what do you say, Jesus? They asked. And Jesus did not reply immediately. He bent down and started to write something on the ground with his finger. And then they are impatient. They kept asking. They kept questioning on him. He straightened up and said to them, if any of you is without sin, let him be the first to throw a stone at her. if any of you is without sin, let him be the first to throw a stone at her. Now, this passage shows us the attitude of Jesus to us. Now, we can compare the attitude of Jesus compared to the teachers of the law and the Pharisees who call themselves righteous of the righteous. First, let's look at the attitude of teachers of the law and Pharisees. They had authority to claim the criminal and the sinners. They have authority. They regarded a position of authority given to them as a right to condemn and the duty to punish others. They acted like they are like spiritual watchdog, right? To tear the sinners to pieces. Let's think about this. Who gave them this authority? Why it was given to them? They were the religious leaders who were supposed to represent God's authority to the people, right, on earth. Through Jesus, we can be able to see how God's authority was represented to the others. All true authority must be found on sympathy and compassion. The sympathy and compassion. We cannot find this on the teachers of the law and the Pharisees. We cannot find this. So first duty of the authority, let's think about this. Do we have authority? Do you have your authority? Maybe you don't think, I'm not Pastor Julia. I'm not like you, I don't have any authority. But it's a mistake. It's a mistake. We have authorities given to us. We have authority given to us by God. If you look at Matthew chapter 10, verse 1, Matthew chapter 10, verse 1. When Jesus sent out his disciples, he gave authority. He called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out evil spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. When Jesus sent out his disciples, what authority was given to them? To drive out evil spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. This is the authority that was given to them. The same way, as believers, as disciples of Jesus, we have received this authority. We have received this authority. So don't just think about, I don't have authority. Everybody in this room, everybody who call themselves as a Christian, followers of Jesus, we have this authority. So let's think about why Jesus gave us this authority. Why God gave this authority to those people, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees. Now how we should use this authority? The first duty of the authority is to try to understand the force of the temptations which drove the sinners to sin, and then the circumstance that makes people to sin. What makes people to be so attractive to sin? There's no man can pass the judgment on another unless at least he tries to understand what others has come through. Right? And authority in its exercise drives a wrongdoer either to despair or to resentment is a failure. The authority, when you use the authority, why God gave us this authority is to heal, right? To heal and drive out the evil spirits and to heal the sickness and illness. This is authority, why God gave us. But if you look at John chapter 8, look at the Pharisees and the teachers of the law who call themselves as a righteous in the eyes of God. They're not using their authority correctly. Right? Self-righteous. They just look at we are righteous. And in other way, this woman who caught in the adultery was supposed to be, put her into death by stoning. So when you lose this sympathy and compassion, what we can see is not the heart, but the things only. Right? For the teachers of the law and the Pharisees, the woman was not a woman, but a thing. They were not looking on this woman as a person at all. Right? They were using her only as a thing, and using her as a tool to destroy Jesus. It is always wrong to regard people as things. In the Bible, God called man with their name. Right? God says to Moses, I know your name. I know you by your name. God said to Cyrus, it is I, the God of Israel, who called you by your name. Dignity and respect. God uses his authority to love man into goodness. To God, no person ever becomes a thing. We must use such authority as we have always to understand, and always at least to try to mend the person who has made a mistake. And we'll never even begin to do that unless we remember that every man and woman is a person, not a thing. So please think about this. As you are a mother and a father, you have authority to your children. As your older brother, you have authority to your younger sisters and your siblings. As your senior member, right, of the church, you have this authority to the young members in the church. In general, as a Christian, we have this authority to the non-believers. How do we use our authority? How do we use it? Do we use it to show God's mercy and God's love to heal others? I volunteered in a domestic violence shelter for years before. I volunteered as an interpreter, translator. So if there's a shelter, any Chinese speaking or Korean speaking people came, and then they don't know how to speak English, then I went there and to help them to translate, interpret. And then in order to be a volunteer, you need to receive a training. There was about 60 hours of the training. And then one of the advisors told me that, everybody actually has the healing power. It's healing power. So I was very curious, we as a believers, we believe that there's a healing power, right? But how come the non-believers, every man can have a healing power? She said, when you listen to others' story, hold their hands. Your hands has power to heal others. When you listen to others' story, embrace them with your arm. This is your healing power. This is true, really. When I listen to them, I hold their hands. Embrace them with my arms. Listen carefully. Their wounds is healed. So we have this power, actually. We have this power. God gave to us to use it. Try this. Try it. If you don't believe, try it. When you listen to other story, listen carefully. Listen. Hold hands. Embrace them with your arm. Share tears with them. Their wounds can be healed. Right? Really, as Christian, indeed, God gave us greater authority, greater power. So we should use our authority to heal others by showing our sympathy and compassion. And this event tells us a great deal about Jesus and his attitude to the sinners. First, Jesus said to woman, Neither do I condemn you. Neither do I condemn you. Actually, if you look at carefully, think carefully, Jesus was the only man who himself without sin. Only him has the right to express judgment on others. But even he said, I don't condemn you. One of the common faults in our life we make is that we judge others while we have greater faults. Right? If you look at Matthew chapter 7, Jesus said, Matthew chapter 7, verse 1 through 5. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eyes? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. We demand we demand standards from others that we never even to try meet ourselves. Even we cannot do that, but we still requires others, demand others to do it. So many of us condemn others while we have the same problems in our own lives. Right? The qualification of judgment is not the knowledge. It's not the knowledge that how much you know, how much you can see. But it is a true life of goodness. Your life. Only God has the right to judge, because there is no man good enough to judge any other. Right? Neither do I condemn you. So do I. Second thing that we can learn from Jesus is our first emotion toward the one who has made a mistake should be pity. Pity. It's been said that the duty of the doctor is sometimes to heal, but always to bring consolation and comfort. When a person suffering from the illness brought to doctor, and then the illness is very disgusting, what the doctor says, go away, right? Isn't it? No, they're not going to say these things. The first emotion toward the sinners, the first emotion to the patient as a doctor is to heal, to help. Right? This is a true doctor. So what is our first emotion toward the person who made a mistake? Is it pity or judgment? Right? Think about this. When you are confronted with someone who has made a mistake, our first feeling ought to be not, I'll have nothing to do with someone who could act like this. But instead, what can I do for you? What can I help to undo the consequences of your mistake? It's a pity. It's a compassion. We must show to others the same compassionate pity we would wish to be shown to ourselves. I'll tell you one story. Okay, among my three boys, one of them, I'm not going to tell you who, one of them, he was very late, in the potty training. Potty training. You know that as you have children, it's really hard. It's really hard. Let them go to the bathroom by themselves, right? And then one of my boy, even he was 4 years old, already 4 years old, still put on a diaper on him. And then I was very worried. Oh, what can I do? I just kept telling him, you need to do well. I need to go to the bathroom. But it didn't work well. And then his daddy came and told him, saying that, I peed in my pants when I was in first grader. Really, he laughed. Even his first grader, he peed on the pants. Right? And then we left. My kids and I left so much. And the next day, really, amazingly, the boy was able to go to the bathroom by himself. Right? Really, when I realized that, really, it's not the requirement, expectation, it didn't work well. Right? But he just, my dad, even first grader, I have so much long time to go. Relaxed. It's comfort. It's a comfort. Really, comfort has healing power. My weakness became others' comfort. I encourage others when they do the driving test because I failed so much times. I failed more than 9 times. Really. And then I didn't tell others how many times I took the test. Actually, it's so embarrassing. And then one day, when I was watching the TV commercial, there was a news. It's a Korean broadcasting news. And there was one grandma who was 99 years old. She was still, taking the driving test. I was so impressed, It's comfort, it's really big comfort. Oh my God, 99 years old grandma still, taking the driving test. What can I, how, I cannot, I can't do it. I'm just, 30 by the time it's 30, something, right? I should try. I really passed, right? I passed. So this my story, so, embarrassing story even can give others a great comfort. Great comfort. And it's really true. Comfort. My weakness can be a comfort to others. So red. Red is living in our church. Okay. So he's really, you should never lose this pity on others, no matter who they are. No matter who they are. And then third, let's go back to John chapter 8. John chapter 8. And it is very important that we should understand just how Jesus treated this woman. We may misunderstand if we think Jesus forgave her lightly and easily, as if the sin did not matter. But look carefully what Jesus said to the woman. What he said was, I'm not going to condemn you, right? But go now and live your life of sin. Live your life of sin. What he was doing was not to abandon judgment and say, oh, don't worry, it's all right. It's not that. Jesus said, I'm not going to pass a final judgment now. Go and prove that you can do better. Right? You have sinned, but go and sin no more. I will help you all the time. At the end of the day, we will see how you have lived. Right? So here, what you can see is the woman was given second chance. Right? It's a second chance. It is as if Jesus said to the woman, I know you have made a mess of things, but life is not finished yet. Right? I'm giving you another chance, and the chance to redeem yourself. In Jesus, there is a gospel of the second chance. He was always interested, not only what a person had been, but also what a person could be. He did not say that what they had done did not matter. Broken law, and broken hearts matter. It matters a lot. But he was sure that every man has a future as well as past. The basic difference between Jesus and the teachers of the law and Pharisees was that they wished to condemn, right? While Jesus wished to forgive. It is clear that they wished to stone this woman to death, right? And they were going to take pleasure in doing so. But Jesus regarded the sinner with pity, out of love, while the teachers of the law and Pharisees regard her with disgust, out of self-righteousness. And the last one is Jesus requests the woman is to change. Jesus confronted this woman with asking her to live the life of sin. Right? He did not say, it's all right, don't worry. It's all okay. God is not going to judge you. No, not the end. It's not the end. He said, you need to live the life of your sin. Live the life of your sin. You are wrong now. You made a mistake. Then change your life from now on. Go and live the life of sin. Here was no easy forgiveness. No easy forgiveness. The one who really understands the love deeply. If you really know the heart of your parents, you're not going to sin easily. You're not going to sin easily. Jesus bent down and wrote something on the ground twice. Right? He wrote something on the first, if you look at John chapter 8. When they asked Jesus, what do you say, right? Jesus wrote something on the ground. And then verse 8 again. Verse 8 again. He stooped down and wrote on the ground. Second time. I feel like he was writing his wish, right? His heart, more than just correct judgment on somebody. What is needed? It is heart of sympathy, compassion, and forgiveness. As a parent, what I wish the most for my children is a harmony. Right? 3 boys fight all the time. I just want, you need to be, get along each other, right? Every day I say, harmonize, harmony. Understand each other. Right? Their age gap is too big. 4 years old, So oldest one cannot understand the youngest one. Too different. But I just help, let them know, understand. You need to understand. When they fight, they bring this issue to parents. They want a judgment, right? Who is right and who is wrong? As I see this scene, it's really same. The teachers of the law and Pharisees, they brought this woman to Jesus. They want a correct judgment. Right? But Jesus didn't say who is wrong, who is right. Parents are the same. I don't want to say who is right and who is wrong. I don't want to hurt any of them. Right? We can be together. It's not because we are perfect, but because we can help each other. We can help each other. Because you are so insufficient. You are so weak. That's why we are here together. We are all like this other 3 women who love something else than God. We worship many things in the world other than God. Right? We are making mistakes all the time, and we will make the mistake, same mistake over and over again. But let's remember that God's heart toward us, He's not condemning. He's not to condemn us, but instead, He has pity on us. Right? He has pity on us and willing to give us a second chance, with the hope that we could do better. We can do better. He's always ready to comfort us, encourage us, and embrace us. I really pray that our all Gracia members remember God's heart and also use this authority that given by God to you to show His mercy and love to the people around you. Through you, they can be comforted. Through you, they can be encouraged. I really hope that we can be used by God in this way. Okay, let's pray. Dear gracious Lord, thank you so much for your mercy and grace. You look at us, you treat us with sympathy and compassion and pity. Father, we wish that we have the same heart like you. You have given us this authority to show your mercy, to heal others. Father, whatever we say, whatever we do, we really want to deliver your compassion. We want to deliver your love to others rather than the cold criticism that make people despair. Father, your word and action is encouraging us and give us great strength to keep moving forward. This is your way. This is your hope, and wish that we can embrace each other even though we are all fall short of your glory. We believe that you will strengthen us as we determine to go this way, your way, as we determine to be like Jesus. Father, please strengthen us. We believe that you will be with us in the next coming week. All the glory be to you. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.